Good evening. Janice Coyle and I welcome you to World Unity Week and our room Journeys into New Earth Frequencies and Sacred Geometry. This evening's guest, Brian Piergrossi. And Janice and I are very excited to have Brian with us today, sharing conversation about this very interesting subject of love is the new religion. But first, we're going to ask Brian if he'll tell us something about himself. So,
Something about myself.
yeah, tell us about who is Brian.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm really grateful and appreciated to be here. I really appreciate the invitation. I love the opportunity to share in real time with people. Um, I think that that's really an exciting thing to be able to do. So grateful to be with everybody who's present with us here live, and grateful for everyone who will be listening in the future. So I'm the author of a couple books, which will reference one of them tonight. One is The Big Glow. That's the first one. The second one is the Wow, the Now. I've done personal coaching for 17 or 18 years. I've led retreats for close to that amount of time in all different parts of the world. And I love that opportunity to kind of deep dive with people in person. Done some workshops, classes, online and in person. And I've had a podcast that I have fun with sometimes.
Mhm.
And I'm a father. I'm blessed that my son is actually with me right now. He's just recently turned 22 years old, and he was with me on Father's Day, and he's still sticking around. He hasn't got tired of me yet. Um, and I'm married to Annie Marie, and we've been sharing some of these events together. Breath work has been something that's really been coming to the forefront for us as a modality. So that's been a powerful thing that we've been sharing. I can talk more about that. Meditation, mindfulness practice, prayer. And then a lot of the coaching work is just really being able to being present with someone and being able to ask the right questions to support someone to see themselves more clearly and have a clear sense of guidance of where they're being called to in their life. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay. How about a little bit more? What led you this direction? Because you could go a million different directions. Is there anything in particular that led you?
The primary catalyst was when I was 20 years old. I had a illness that was was called chronic fatigue syndrome, but I don't know that anyone really knew what was happening with me. That was sort of a catchphrase for, we don't know what's going on with you. But I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and it was a debilitating illness, and it lasted for years. It was very intense at first, and gradually got a little bit better over time. But it was pretty jarring for me at that age. That was something I definitely was not expecting to have happen. I had all kinds of ideas and visions, and a sense of where I thought my life was going to go, and then it just completely everything came to a halt. So that was very disorienting for me, to say the least, and was a catalyst to really try to find the answers for why I was suffering, what was happening for me, and then kind of more because I'm part of the world. So then it was sort of like questions about everyone, all of us, the human condition, essentially. So that started that journey, and I've really dedicated myself to that. And the one good thing I'll say, maybe there's more than one good thing, but the thing that comes to my mind about when you do have a serious illness is it does give you a lot of time. I was sort of just laying in bed all day, like looking at the ceiling, and then I thought, well, I can start reading books. I can start, I can try to make the best use of this time. So I really delved into just the spiritual journey, and devoured as much as I could, and um, started with books, and then eventually it was meeting with people in person and learning from different people that I was drawn to, and um, just continuing on that journey for I would say my 20s was pretty much all like seeking and studying and learning, and then the 30s gradually moved into more starting to share, still learning, but gradually starting to share more of what I learned as well. But that was the key catalyst among other catalysts as well.
So It's interesting. Um, I've so loved your prose and your poetic expressions,
Mm-hmm.
both on your online podcasts and especially one of your books called The Big Glow, which you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how anybody could just not be, I don't know, it was a magnet to me. Just hearing
Mm-hmm.
the word The Big Glow. I don't know why the resonance, except that it brought me to you. And this was several years ago,
Mm-hmm.
long years before we ever met. And those words alone, and then the piece that went viral, and it was just really incredible. It was a piece that went viral called Love is the New Religion, for those of you who do not know Brian. Um, and there was no question in my mind as to why it had gone viral and it had touched so many people. But before I ask you to read this, because that you knew that we were going to ask you to read it because that's something that we really were attracted to. Why were you inspired to add the word religion to the title? Was
Mm.
there anything that really sparked that?
I guess religion is something that can be divisive. It's something that um, there's been wars fought over and people killed over, and um, there can be kind of there's a lot of obviously good things that good people that are connected to religion, but there's a darker side that's been there, that's been divisive, and it's created separation. And um, I just felt that, well, what are all these different people throughout history? What are they trying to point to in their own way, in their own words, in their own culture, in their own time? What is the unifying message? And if you had to put it into a word, it would be love, you know? So that love is the new religion.
It is. And actually, love is the common denominator of all the great major religions.
Yes, that's
So,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
common
Yeah.
denominator.
Yeah.
So, would you be open to reading that to
Sure.
us? And I know it's a few minutes, several minutes long, but it is so moving, and I really would love to share that with people.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here we go. Love is the new religion. On the surface of the world right now, there is war and violence, and things seem dark. But calmly and quietly at the same time, something else is happening underground. An inner revolution is taking place, and certain individuals are being called to a higher light. It is a silent revolution from the inside out, from the ground up. It is time for me to reveal myself. I am an embedded agent of a secret, undercover, clandestine, global operation, a spiritual conspiracy. We have sleeper cells in every nation on the planet. You won't see us on the TV. You won't read about us in the newspaper. You won't hear about us on the radio. We don't seek any glory. We don't wear any uniform. We come in all shapes and sizes, colors, and styles. Most of us work anonymously. We are quietly working behind the scenes in every country and culture of the world. Cities big and small, mountains and valleys, in farms and villages, tribes and remote islands. You could pass by one of us on the street and not even notice. We go undercover. We remain behind the scenes. It is of no concern to us who takes the final credit, but simply that the work gets done. Occasionally, we spot each other in the street. We give a quiet nod and continue on our way so no one will notice. During the day, many of us pretend we have normal jobs, but behind the false storefront at night is where the real work takes place. Some call us the quote, conscious army. We are slowly creating a new world with the power of our minds and hearts. We follow with passion and joy our orders from the central command, the spiritual intelligence agency. We are dropping soft, secret love bombs when no one is looking. Poems, hugs, music, photography, movies, kind words, smiles, meditation and prayer, dance, social activism, websites, blogs, random acts of kindness. We each express ourselves in our own unique way with our own unique gifts and talents. Be the change you want to see in the world. That is the motto that fills our hearts. We know it is the only way real transformation takes place. We know that quietly and humbly we have the power of all the oceans combined. Our work is slow and meticulous, like the formation of mountains. It is not even visible at first glance, and yet with it, entire tectonic plates shall be moved in the centuries to come. Love is the new religion of the 21st century. You don't have to be a highly educated person or have any exceptional knowledge to understand it. It comes from the intelligence of the heart, embedded in the timeless evolutionary pulse of all human beings. Be the change you want to see in the world. Nobody else can do it for you. We are now recruiting. Perhaps you will join us or already have. All are welcome. The door is open.
Now, it's interesting. I've probably read that quite a few times. And just your reading it, I mean, my body just reacts to it. I know I'm not alone, or it would not have gone viral. There is just something there that, I mean, whatever it is, that is the common uniting factor, and it's the love that we all share. And those of us that, I mean, we all came here at this time. I believe we came here for this purpose, and we're doing it. And the fact that the jobs that we hold during the day, at night, the silent love bombs, it's like we so do that. We so do that. And, encouraging people and having them step forward and sharing our gifts with them and all the things that you mentioned. And so I want to thank you for being moved to write that and for allowing all of us that resonate with it to share it. So
thank you, Antonia. Appreciate it.
I mean, I actually was moved to tears just listening to it again. And yeah, I know Janice, I can see Janice too. So would you share with us how you see this beautiful big love affecting the new earth?
Well, I think another reason that it strikes people, that it really touches people, is because, like, even I was talking to my son today. We were talking and going for a walk, and he's saying, everything is so crazy and everything is so bad and everything is, I'm paraphrasing, but everything's so bad, everything's so terrible. And I'm like, well, on the surface, like the news, if you turn to the news, it looks really bad. The news is all about fear and divisiveness and anger and rage and all of these things to try to trigger people, get people upset. But there is something else happening. And I think it's like we intuitively know that, but we forget it. And so this Love's New Religion, it reminds you that, like, there is a lot of people, the majority of people are doing good things. They're doing their best to come from a place of love, and they're doing their best to be an embodiment of love and be the embodiment of divine, and see that in each other. And there's a lot of real heroes that are not famous, and maybe most people will never even know their name, but they're really the people that are kind of like holding it together and uplifting the population, awakening the conscience of the population. And if you're just looking on the surface, you won't, you'll forget that. You'll lose awareness of that. And so this is like a reminder that the real stuff that's happening, the real, revolution, if you will, in consciousness, is not, it's not on, the news. It's not being broadcast there, but it is happening. And I guess the way to know it is to be a part of it, right?
Right.
So I think another reason it touches people is like, yeah, he's talking about me, because I'm a part of this. So it's like you're being acknowledged, where the way, I think in our society a lot of times the way to get attention is kind of for the wrong reasons, so to speak. So a lot of really good people they're more quiet, they're more humble, and this acknowledges them, and it reminds them that they're a part of something and that they matter. So that's my answer to the question.
What I find interesting is one of the good aspects of social media is to be highlighting people who are just stopping to do something really lovingly, kindly for somebody else, and somebody happens to catch them on camera and then post it. People who are doing
right.
nice things for people.
Yeah.
And I know one of the phrases that we've all pretty much grown up with is random acts of kindness coming out of the 60s and 70s and 80s. And I say conscious acts of loving kindness. This is where we're moving to. They're not random. They're conscious acts of loving kindness with no expectation of personal gain or reward. And when we move into that space, we will be making another step up, or step into, or a step more broadly. So I really like just using the phrase and bringing it to our attention that it's conscious acts of loving kindness with no expectation of personal gain or reward. So thank you. Janice, you have a couple poems that it might be that I know Brian said he didn't have one of his books with him, and when we're on a screen like this, I can't really hold it up so that you can see it. But I'm wondering.
Well, I could do one, but first I have just a couple of questions about your incredible book, The Big Glow.
Sure.
I ordered it. I got it. I could not put it down. And I know you say in your preface, read it slowly, but I couldn't. It was like sugar, if you're addicted to sugar. I will go back and do it. But I'd like for you to tell, and I think I know, pretty sure I know the answer. Tell everybody why you have the title, The Big Glow.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people ask me that.
Okay.
The Big Glow is a poetic metaphor for the light within. So recognizing that light within ourselves, and the book provides pointers, for us to realize that light within ourselves.
And they're all, in my experience of them, I've got to go back and go slowly. They're like meditations.
Yeah.
And I can see going back and going slowly that it would make an even bigger difference. But even in the way I did it, to scan and read a whole bunch of them to prepare for this, there was a feeling that came. There was this upliftment. I know that if I go back and read them slowly, it will be even more effective. So I'm so grateful that I'm a poet too, and this is really incredible what you've written here. And so beautifully stated everything. Thank you. For those of you listening here and will listen later at our video, you might want to pick up this book because it's very, very uplifting and spiritualizing and all of that. Where do these come from?
That's a great question. Where do they come from? I mean, I can just give you practical answer to start with. This time period that I was talking about, where trying to find the answers, trying to figure things out, trying to understand what's happening, what's the point, what's the purpose. I would just get ideas, and I would just, when something came through, I would write it in my journal. and we kept doing that. And then, so some of the stuff in the book is kind of like aphorisms, like just like a little moment of realizing something, or a little moment of little nugget of wisdom here, might be just a few sentences or a sentence or two. So there's that. And then I think another thing was nature was a big source of inspiration. So I would be outside and, kind of just being inspired by what I was observing, and had a kind of a spiritual, getting lit up spiritually from it. And like, how do you translate it? How do you communicate this? You can't really communicate it linearly, you communicate it in a way that comes across poetically. And it's like a transmission. It's an energetic transmission.
Yeah, right.
And then also, through relationships, we definitely learn and grow through the people that we're relating with. So there's that in the book as well. And then there's just, quiet moments, what we could call meditation or prayer. And so just a compilation of those, of writing what came through as best I could from those moments, and then compiling it and organizing it, and then sharing that journey with others.
I would call it beauty in words, something like that.
Yeah.
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 One of the things I wanted to ask you is, or to comment on, is that you are obviously have a very strong masculine presence. At the same time, you have a sensitivity and a softness that is, I guess, the basis for what you've been teaching, that really also drew me to you before I met you, which was the new masculine, the masculine edge. And when I started to find myself attracted to what you were doing, I reached out to communicate with you for the first time, saying, I am so thrilled to see what you're teaching in that particular program, because it is so broad and so deep. And obviously, coming from a man who is very sensitive and aware and in touch with his feminine aspect, in addition to the real balance of the masculine. So, your development of the modern new masculine, and of course, you call the masculine edge, developed out of the expansion of all of your writings too, and your relationships and whatever. You really bring that forward, and I really thank you. As somebody who, the geometries that I work with are the divine masculine and the divine feminine in a harmonic dance, the harmonic dance of opposites. And I think you bring that out so well, which is what really drew me. So can you speak to that?
You know what I'm thinking about when you're saying that? It's interesting because when I first started doing this work, I thank you for your kind words. And there actually are a couple spots open for the Men's Mastermind group you're talking about. If anyone's interested listening, that's happening next month. But when I first started doing this work, it was like 90% women that would come to everything I was doing. And there was very few men. And if there was men, they usually came with a female partner, right? So even less men that were coming like, by themselves. And we had an event here a few days ago, and so many awesome men, the full room full of like awesome men, I know it was great.
Yeah. Really
conscious, awake, just really great, like you said, balanced, masculine, feminine. So I think a lot of it came out of the sense of like, wow, like, where's all the men? We gotta help. What can we do to get things going here? Just the sense of the lack of men that were on this path, and had it integrated like masculine as well on this path. So just seeing that need, so then started to do things that were, I think this group you're talking about, which was dedicated to just the men, which I'd never done that before. And that was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. And yeah, I'm seeing, in the field around me, I'm really seeing positive positive shifts in that way. And it's exciting. And I think it's something that a lot of people are interested, or I know people are interested in the subject right now too. You know, feminine polarity and masculine polarity, and the conscious awakening of the both, and the interplay of the both. So yeah, I'm really happy to be a part of that that co-creation.
And you're absolutely correct that when we go to workshops and events like this, the vast majority has been feminine. And because of the work that I've been bringing through, I've been really opening it up to the masculine energy also, not only within us, but the masculine presence. And some of my celebrations of love in the last few years have been 40% men. On my retreat 2 years ago was 60% men. Men. And I was just absolutely, and no feeling of competition between them, just a feeling of respect and honoring. And so I love where you're going with it. It's something that I've been really passionate about, having men realize that they're really welcome. It's not a feminine place that we're dealing with. But yeah. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Jan, do we have time to read?
We have 5 minutes. This is a relatively short poem.
Well, I wanted to ask Brian if there was anything. I know we had a time frame. I mean, we could go on for a while, but you were nice enough to give us a time frame we asked for. So, is there anything that you would like to offer to New Earth frequencies, the journeys into New Earth frequencies this evening before we read one of your beautiful prose?
You mean like words of wisdom as far as offering?
Wisdom, thoughts, why you accepted our our invitation?
I think that the connection is the frequency is love. Love is the frequency, right? So when we open up to love is at the root. Love is the recognition that we're not separate, that there is one essence that illuminates all things, and we are that essence, and that God or the Creator is within all things. And the more that we can recognize that and realize that and live from that place, then we're living from love, and then that vibration, that frequency emanates out, and that's where the miracles happen. That's where the magic happens. That's where the synchronicities arise from this place. So yeah. Love is the new religion, and love is the frequency.
Janice, do you have it open?
I have it open. Okay, I'll go ahead. This is a beautiful piece by Brian called The New Cyber Tribe. When the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come unto the earth from many colors, classes, creeds, and who, by their actions and deeds, shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow. O Native American prophecy, I feel this prophecy coming to fruition in our generation as this new global rainbow tribe is slowly awakening and becoming aware of each other from all parts of the globe. The exciting new mode of communication that is most facilitating this change is the internet, and we are just at the beginning stages of what its full potential shall be. Many of us from around the world have felt this prophecy in our hearts. We are using popular social networking sites and our own self-made websites every day to fulfill the prophecy and further awaken spiritual consciousness in the human being, to bring into awareness the oneness of life and consciousness. We do come from many different nations, cultures, creeds, and colors from around the world, and we are coming together online as a new global tribe to create a world of consciousness, hope, and beauty, to share, learn, and grow together, to inspire, empower, and support each other on this path. We truly are the ones we've been waiting for.
I loved hearing you read it. Thank you so much.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Brian, what a joy to have you with us this evening. I really hope that everybody who's joined us this evening will check into Brian Piergrossi, check him out on the website, check his books out, read his prose and poems, and attend some of his breath workshops, which I've had the pleasure of doing also, and meet this beautiful modern masculine guy. So
And
Appreciate y'all so much.
with beautiful, beautiful, many thousands of beautiful words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, so much.
much, Brian.
All right.
Really appreciate it.